Hey there guys, this is Agent M, also known as Pastor Mallory, the children's pastor at Northgate Wesleyan Church. And today is Wednesday, which is the day that we talk about missionaries. So we're talking about agents of truth that actually leave their community and enter into a different community, whether that's in the United States or where they move outside of the United States. But before we jump into who our missionary is this week, let's talk about who our Bible character is going to be for Friday. And you'll want to stay till the very end to see the verses that I'm going to have you look up so that you too, as agents of truth, can look for any truth that you might see to share with others. So stay to the end so that you can see those verses, because our Bible character that we're going to talk about on Friday from the New Testament is John the Baptist, which, if you are an agent who has been already studying with us and watching these videos, then you might have heard that name already, because we heard of a prophecy about someone who's going to come before Jesus, and that somebody was John the Baptist. So that is our character for Friday that we are going to look into. I hope you guys start digging deep for the truth. I'm excited to see what we find. All right, so who is our missionary today? Well, our missionary this time is a woman who grew up in Ireland, who is a woman named Amy Carmichael. Now, Amy Carmichael, when she was a little girl, she used to think of herself as not as pretty as all the other girls. Kind of a normal thing for kids these days, not thinking they're pretty enough, always wanting to look like somebody else. Well, she grew up around other girls who had light-colored hair, and they had blue eyes, and she had dark hair, and she had brown eyes, and she just really didn't like that. She just would pray that God would change the color of her eyes. Just change them to blue, God, so that I can be pretty too. Well, you know, they didn't have contacts back when she was growing up that could change your eye color, so she had to live with that. She had to live with the color of her eyes, and as she grew up, she always had that kind of in the back of her mind, like, oh, I just wish I had pretty blue eyes. But somebody told her one day that God has a very good reason for her being the way that she was, so she should not wish that away. So she did devote her life to the Lord, and eventually she really felt called to leave her community and go somewhere new. And that calling led her to India. So I have a map right here where India is. She went into India and immerses herself in the culture. And she begins to see that there are some things that are really bad happening in this culture. Where she went, the people were basically selling their children that they didn't want. And those children were growing up in lives that were really terrible and horrible and painful. And so she saw this need for protection for these children. She stepped into this culture, and she was going to try to bring love and light. And so what did she do? She started up some orphanages, the very first ones that they had for these children, because children were not seen as somebody as valuable. Like, if your children out there watching this, just know, like, we are very blessed when our parents love us and they take care of us and they treat us with dignity and they give us things and we have shelter. Yeah, well, not every kid has that in the world. And in this culture, at this time, when Amy Carmichael came into this community, she was noticing that that's not how they saw children in this area. So she wanted to do something special for them, something that would give them hope, and she wanted to love them. Well, when she was over there, people were seeing what she was doing, and she would even save kids, like kids that were being sold to do things that were really just not good. She would go and try to take those children and bring them to her orphanage so that they would be safe. And people didn't like this. They were not happy that she was interfering this way. So oftentimes she would be threatened for the things that she was doing. However, interestingly enough, because she had dark hair and brown eyes, she could dress up in what all the other women in India were dressing up like. And she would take dark coffee and stain her skin so that she would blend in and not stand out so strongly and that those who were looking for her would have more difficult time. So Amy Carmichael came to find out that God had a very good reason for making her with dark hair and dark eyes, and she was beautiful just the way she was, and she was going to go into a culture and share the love of God with children who may never have known they were loved at all. She even went on to create schools for these kids that might not have ever been taught how to read, especially the girls. The girls would not be taught how to read, and they would just have no dignity. They would basically be owned an item, an object. They wouldn't be treated as beautiful, wonderful human beings. They would be treated as if they were like an animal, like a pet even. And so she was giving them the opportunity to read. Now you out there who are like, I hate reading, I don't like school, just know when you are given the opportunity to learn, it is giving you power. Protect yourselves and know what is going on around you. It helps you to have wisdom and intelligence that is not deprived from you. As she grew older, she was even recognized by the Queen of England for all the things that she had done in India. She had a huge impact, and she was just one woman who went to this culture to share the love of God. And the children who would go to the orphanage, they asked, what drew you to come to her for help, to Amy for help? And they would say, because our mom loved us. They would call her mom because they felt loved. They knew that she loved them and wanted the best for them. And she was given that ability because of the love that she's received through God. And that is something we can all do, even in our communities right now. When you share the love of God with people around you, it changes them, just like it changes you. It changes you to be calmer and sweeter, not get angry so quickly. It gives you a peace. The more that you draw closer to God, like that peace kind of resides in you. It's not like everything's perfect in the world, but it is in your heart. Like things are going good inside, and that reflects out of you, and people see it, and it calms them, and it gives them joy, and it's something like, hey, you have something I need. I want that. That is amazing. And Amy Carmichael went into a culture that was totally different, and God used her in such a powerful way. And children would come to her for help. She didn't just go and find them. They heard of her, and they sought her out because they saw something in her that was different than anything else they'd ever seen. And that's what God's love does. Okay, guys, so that is our missionary for the week. And I hope any of you who are listening realize that you are unique. God thinks you're beautiful and you're wonderful. Don't wish away your curls or your straight hair. Don't wish away your blue eyes or your brown eyes. Don't wish away your freckles or the color of your skin, because you are beautiful and God loves you as you are. And He just might bring a purpose out of the way you look into the way that you share who He is. Well, thank you guys for listening. I've got my winter clothes on. It's getting colder and colder each day, and I am hoping that you guys are all staying warm and enjoying these beautiful fall winter days. Just stay on a little longer and you will see the verses to look up for John the Baptist. And I will see you guys on Friday. This is H&M saying over and out.